Welcome back to Game On, and well, let's talk about what's happening locally. Sundowns suffering their first loss. Pirates now winning 4 in a row, and Sekhukhune, well, they are making things happen with the early runnings in the league, the top of the table, and joined now by Mark Haskins, of course, joining me with Jerry Skosana. Let's firstly talk about the defending champions, gentlemen. But before we get to that, I'd just love to get your thoughts on Sekhukhune. The start they've made to the season, Krobler is scoring goals. He himself is closing in on Nomvete's milestone, so to speak. Your thoughts on Sekhukhune, and are they really the surprise package, or are they picking up from where they left off over the last couple of seasons? Mark?
Yeah, certainly. Sekhukhune, if you look at the way they go about their business in terms of their recruiting as well, they've done really good business. And you can see there's a strong management team in place where there's football brains and business brains coming together and working as a collective. And that's why you have to really give them credit for the way they've gone about their business, the way they've brought in experience with youngsters, married them. That's what the product is on the field. I mean, who would have thought that Bradley Krobler would have ended up going to Sekhukhune and look at the, he's got a new lease on life, and he might surpass Nomvete and Shalulile the way he's going this season. Yeah. So I think Sekhukhune, just the way they've gone about their business and managed the club as a whole is exemplary, and I think a lot of clubs could learn from that.
Quick one, Jerry. Last season, Eric Tinkler might take over. At the time, as Sekhukhune were looking as though there were no problems at all, there was no need for a coaching change. Many of us questioned that decision, but it seems things are moving in the right direction, even with Tinkler.
I think, as Mark is just putting it straight to say, somehow business people coming into football area, but giving football side to the people that knows football. I think for Tinkler to be given all the accolades of running the team in football structure, I think this is exactly what he's doing, because players that he's recruiting are players that are benefiting the club now, which is Sekhukhune. And yes, a lot of people spoke about Krobler. You remember one of his interviews where he said, for me to score against Chiefs is because they discarded me and said I was old. So this is exactly what it's 6 years ago. So somehow, as I say with Mabasa, age ain't nothing as long as the player wants to perform and do better, and that is what they are doing.
And there's some unsung heroes, people behind the scenes. Coach Temba Sitole, McDonald Makurubela, those names we don't often hear about, but they play a massive, massive role in that whole process, and so credit must also be given to them.
Also the team manager, Gifty Mashiachidi.
So, big up to Sekhukhune for a great start to the season, of course. They are true. 1-1 with Chipper United, and for Orlando Pirates, away in Bloemfontein once again. The nice thing is they got to play in Bloemfontein twice in a row, so the acclimatization was nice with the Champions League game. They have a tough outing against Siwelele, but do the business against a struggling Siwelele.
Yes, something good, but you look at some of the players, we don't know their attitude in terms of like you away from home with the CAF competition, and then you are in the same area to go and play the PSL, which is your local league. But for me, if I was there, that's something good. I would always give my best, because I'm in one area which is still in South Africa, even though it was like away. So it's just being away from home, doing your duties. But the most important thing was for them to get the 3 points, because it wasn't going to be an easy feat to play Siwelele in Bloemfontein. So I think for them to win that 1-0, yes, for me, I watched the game. Siwelele were very good, strong tactically, but unfortunately they lost 1-0.
Third game in a row now for Pirates where the adjustments are made, and once they go into the second half and make those adjustments, they go on to get the advantage. Strong bench.
Certainly. The mark of a champion, we always speak about this, the mark of a champion is when you're not at your best, you still find ways to win the game. And that's exactly what they did. They weren't at their best against Siwelele. They've played a lot of football. If you look at, it's literally Monday, Wednesday, Wednesday weekend kind of thing for a long time now. So you can't always be at your top. And even when they're not great, they still manage to win. And like you say, from the bench. Oswan, when you can bring Oswan Apollos from the bench, then you've recruited well. So Ozzy coming on, getting the winner, that was phenomenal. And he's a class player himself, really putting up his hand as one of the top players in the league this season. So Pirates, for the length of this season, if they continue in this way, they're going to be the team to beat. They're going to be the team that everyone is chasing.
Mamelodi took points from Sundowns at El Rose last season. He takes the 3 points this time around. Does he have Sundowns' number?
Well, you know, the motivation is definitely there for him. The motivation is definitely there for him. So, again, Arrows, you know, I always said, and I never played for the bigger clubs. But
why are you looking at me, Mikey?
You did.
You were there, but
the biggest stage.
You played there. I never played for the bigger clubs, but we all knew that when you played Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, the coach doesn't need to say much. Those are the games that no one is injured for. Everyone, that week before training, everyone is ready. Everyone wants to get on the field and play that game. So for an Arrows team, you play against Sundowns, the league champions. They've been, you know, the forefront of South African football for many years now. You always up for that game, and you could see that Arrows, they dug deep and they wanted it. They just, every department, they wanted it more than Sundowns, it seemed.
For me, is the area where players' mentality comes into effect. Because if you look at their previous game, I think they lost to, Colin Arrows, lost to a lower team in the...
Sekhukhune
At the last minute.
You know, and then they go and play a team that is more difficult to play against. But what Mark is saying, the players' mind sometimes comes into effect because that's where they want to be seen, beating Sundowns.
Second game without Nabi in a row now for Kaizer Chiefs. How serious is this situation getting?
Again,
They, of course, drew 1-1 with Gallants.
if we're being honest, Kaizer Chiefs have not been entirely convincing throughout the season in terms of their performance on the field. They're giving the ball away too much. There's no real pattern of play. You can't, you know, they're not dominating. They haven't dominated anyone. But it was their fight, their grit, their determination that won them games, that saw them over the line. And so, you know, unfortunately, it gets to a point where that's not enough. Now you actually have to, on the field, in terms of your football, you also have to show up. Because if your opponent matches you for fight, for determination, for grit, you know what's going to be the difference?
Extra,
You need then the football to take you across the line. And unfortunately, they don't have that right now. So that's a department and that's the area where they're going to need to improve because teams are going to match them in terms of the, you know, the non-talent factors is what we call it. If teams match them in that area, what do they have to lean on?
Stellenbosch, keep in mind, drew 0-0 with Durban City. They are just 1 point off the relegation zone, so big concerns as to what's going on with Stellenbosch. We take a short break. When we come back, we discuss what's happening in England and in Germany with Mark.